So a lot of the stuff that keeps coming in, all the questions that keep coming up on our radar, really stem down to communication, or actually miscommunication. But it's this whole concept of communicating. How do I effectively communicate in order to get my desired outcome or some type of solution? So I know that seems a little too convoluted, so I'm gonna try to come up with some examples. The one that came up the other day was a client went ahead and reached out to the family and unfortunately just unloaded on them of well, everything that's been coming up throughout treatment. And it was interesting because this is really normal, is we get these emotions, we don't know how to communicate, we just know, well, a lot of people, it's not even conscious. Underneath, we feel bad and we don't know why. There's a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, a lot of frustration, and we just tend to emotionally or verbally just vomit on our family or loved ones that really want to be there to help us. But also from the family standpoint, a lot of the times, I know for me, if I'm struggling emotionally, I'm not able to connect at a healthy level. And I've been doing this for a while and actually do a lot of studying in this and even fall short all the time. And so I have to constantly remind myself of what is the desired outcome with this relationship or this engagement, and what can I do that will empower this relationship. And so what it does, it helps me, we're really big with this alignment here between intention or verbal, what we say we're gonna do, and action. We wanna make sure that that is congruent. And so this client was saying, as we processed through, it came up, I'm so hurt, I feel that I'm not being loved the way I like to be loved by my family. I feel like they abandoned me and just kind of just railroaded me into this whole stop using drugs because I didn't think it was a problem at first. And so that unwound all sorts of stuff, all sorts of items and issues started coming up. But as we broke it down one at a time, really at the stem of it was, I just want to feel heard, and I don't feel like anyone has wanted to hear me because, and again through processing, because of the amount of damage I've done within these relationships. Now that's not what it was at first. At first it was, my family's so messed up, they're not helping me and supporting me, they're just trying to basically pay someone else to fix me, and I'm not even that broken, they're the ones that are broken. And so as we unpack that, that's where we got to that core. The reason why I share this is because most of the time we have these primary emotions, we have this this root issue down here that we're not even aware of, and the secondary emotions or the actions we take are to actually kind of cover up and protect this part. That's why a lot of the times there's just this back and forth anger, frustration, because that's kind of this default mechanism that keeps us safe from having to look at this. So as we unpack that, then we can look at this, oh my gosh, I feel hurt because I'm not feeling heard. And once we understood that, we were able to say, well, what would you want your family to hear? And then, of course, right away it's, well, they messed up doing this and that. Okay, that's on the attack. What if we went to our authentic self, the little kid within us that says, I just want to be loved. What does this look like? It was really neat because this client really started getting in touch with some emotions they weren't even aware they had. And so as this came up, it was, oh, I don't feel or didn't feel valued and listened to. And then I can see how my actions and behaviors of how I was doing this warrants them trying to protect their emotions through this. And so once we lift those blockades, if you will, those protectors, we're able to get to the root. And it's still an ongoing process with this individual. However, they're starting to communicate more effectively. I'm saying, I really would like a deeper relationship with you, one where we can talk together, and I don't know what that looks like yet. I know for me, in my mind, I'm thinking I'm being judged because of my past using behavior, and I feel like this is still coming up and negatively affecting me. And so we're still having to unpack this past of the consequences that are still carrying over. But as that cleans up, then we can get to this core that we stick here. And anytime someone says this, we're able to say, that was true in the past. Here's where we are today. What is it gonna take to feel safe enough to have this conversation? And that's the point that I'm wanting to get out and actually kind of exploring while we're going through this process together is, what are these core issues that I really want to address in a loving way that we're able to stay connected in this relationship or in this experience of communicating, so we don't get to pointing fingers. Because ultimately, again, at the end of the day, every human being wants to feel loved, wants to feel respected, significant, and a lot of the times it's that ego that pops up that tries to say, you must or you better respect me, as opposed to, well, what does that look like for you? Because I want to continue in this relationship in a way that we both feel heard, understood, appreciated, clear boundaries, so we can grow together. And it's amazing. It's a very difficult process, but as we get better and better in this process, we're able to really work through the crap from the past. And this is where I like saying, kicking the doors off of life. It's like the horse kicks out of the barn and is able to just run wild. That's where relationships, friendships, all sorts of stuff, we get feedback later of saying, I had no idea I could be this close to my family, or really love this deep of a level and get so much enjoyment and fulfillment out of this. Because before, I was dealing from this hurt person aspect. Now, as I've worked through the emotions, I'm able to really identify these primary emotions and where the fear really lies, and not believe the BS that kicks up here of these secondary emotions or the reaction. And so the main takeaway that I would like you to take from this is to understand, okay, when I'm on the attack or when I'm feeling hurt and going reactionary, to go ahead and take a step back and get to the primary emotion, to really feel out what is it that I'm wanting, or what am I really hurting about, so we can explore a safe conversation about that.